So there I was, gripping the edge of my seat, watching in horror as a slow-moving nightmare began to reach its inevitable nail-biting climax of terror after a slow build-up, and just before the final act reached its crescendo and I began to believe that I would make it to the end credits with a few fingernails intact, when a bunch of naked climate change protesters glued themselves to the House of Commons glass-walled public gallery, and they didn't quite seem to know what to do with themselves, at which point I decided to stop watching the Brexit negotiations and go to the cinema and watch an actual horror movie instead, because sleep is overrated. And just by luck, I had tickets to an advanced screening of Pet Semetery, from the pen of horror maestro Stephen King, and wait, it's not seriously called Cemetery with an S, is it? Oh, that's great. Now my script is going to be full of red wiggly lines. But back to Dead Pet Place, and we find Dr. Lewis Creed and his wife Rachel relocating from Boston to rural Maine with their 2 young children to have a slower pace of life. The couple soon discover a mysterious burial ground hidden deep in the woods near their new home, and things go from bad to worse very, very quickly. Now, the producers have expressed regret over the second trailer, which apparently spoils the whole film, but since I avoid trailers, especially horror trailers like the plague, I wouldn't know. But I wouldn't have thought there was much to spoil after the first 30 seconds, which needs to go. Instantly, immediately, without hesitation or reservation, it has to go. But leaving that aside, this is a pretty threadbare film. I mean, it's the kind of plot that only functions if everyone wasn't either an idiot or incapable of holding an actual conversation with someone else. I've seen more dialogue in films starring Ryan Gosling. Seriously, an actual conversation at any point in the first 2/3 of this film would have stopped this, which isn't a good thing even for horror, a genre which traditionally relies on people making stupid decisions. A trope which was utterly destroyed by the incredible Cabin in the Woods, which, with a few tweaks, this could almost be a prequel to. Because, yes, in the cinema I was scared and became very fascinated with my watch, which is normally a good thing, but at about the halfway point I twigged that this film only has about 3 scares, which it repeats ad nauseum to the law of diminishing returns. Certain creepy sets looked pretty cheap and very set-like, which didn't help, and whilst I give certain props to the film for not having its finale become inadvertently hilarious, it was clear the film had passed its peak and was heading downhill. And for a film which the BBFC claims has strong bloody violence, gore, threat, it seems pretty tame. Almost as if the film was intended to be a hard 12A and was cut down in anticipation of that certificate. What gore there is, it's cut away from pretty quickly when it could have been allowed to go a little further to truly earn its certificate. It's made a few changes from the book, all of which are to the film's benefit, but it still feels pretty thin. None of the characters really get any development, making it hard to care about any of them when they're in danger, and more I realise this film just fell back on familiar horror tropes. Creepy looking kids? Check. Loud noises at night? Check. Events set during Halloween? Check. I'm not fully convinced that this wasn't supposed to be some sort of black comedy with horror elements, were it not for the fact that I'm fairly certain the laughs that rippled through my screening weren't always supposed to be there. Treat Pet Memorial Place as a schlocky horror film. It's got nothing to say about life and the universe, and 10 minutes off the runtime, especially in a slowish moving first half, would have been only to the film's benefit, but I went in, I was scared, then I left, and I wasn't anymore. In other words, if nothing else is on, yeah, check this out. Otherwise, just don't bother. But what do you guys think? And what do you think is the best book to film adaptation? Comment below, let me know. I'm Daniel. It's been Dunking. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe.